Welcome, friends, to the Universal Body Meditation. If you're interested in enlightenment, immortality, law of attraction, healing, Buddhism on any level, please stay tuned, because what I'm going to share with you today and in the subsequent videos, this is going to be a little series on this practice that I'm offering to you from the heart. You're going to be very, very interested to check this out, okay? But it is such a practice that does need a little bit of context. So the way these videos are going to work is I'm going to give you a little bit of context, where I learned this and how I practice it, and then I'm going to go through a guided meditation. So once you watch the context a few times, if you just want to practice it, you can just cut right to the guided meditation, okay? I learned this almost 12 years ago, and the original practice that this is called the Dharmakaya, which is considered by many practitioners to be the Rolls-Royce of Buddhist meditation. How's that for a catchphrase? Now, the reason it's thought of in such high regard is because, for example, in my own personal experience of practicing daily and teaching yoga for almost 20 years, I've seen few, if any, method that come as close to this in terms of healing, personal method that you can practice for healing self and others, for concentrating, purifying the mind, for law of attraction, manifesting the reality you want to live in. And specifically, why I'm sharing with you is because this is a philosophical super science. How do you like that? Philosophical super science to embody, at the absolutely deepest level possible, the Eightfold Noble Path. Okay, of the Buddha and the wisdom that comes with it. And you want to be a noble or not. There's many ways to do it, but this is one of the simplest within the practice. It's so loaded with just so many of the layers of Buddhism, which I want to make real clear using that term, Buddhism also. When I trained a number of years ago now, I can't remember exactly how many, with the Dalai Lama personally, myself and my yoga teacher, we went and we took a green Tara, all about compassion, of course, initiation in Pasadena. Huge venue, beautiful tankas the size of the building, and monks from all walks and lay people like myself, we were all there. And he gave a very, very powerful talk, and for a number of days, it was almost a whole week long. And one of the things he said that really made me kind of contemplate terminology, because it's all about the meaning. We can say anything we want, but the meaning behind words. The term Buddhism, he defines or divided into three main sections: Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist science, and Buddhist religion, which he doesn't like to talk about, Buddhist religion, because that's the realm, at least not to the masses. That's what he was saying there. I'm not putting words in his mouth, it's just simply what he said to us at that moment, is that that's the world of dogma, and not just in Buddhism, in any religion, even within the same religion, like they fight over that. It's the world of because I said so. Quite frankly, or God said so, but who really wrote that was a human, you know what I mean? And so, philosophy, science, by nature, are open-ended to questioning, to interpretation, and so forth. And so for me, myself, like I said, I learned this almost 12 years ago, and in practicing it almost every day for, whatever, 11 and a half years, almost 12 years now, I practice it almost verbatim to the way it was taught to me. But there are a couple of subtle changes, not even changes, but just basically making it work for me. We're all individuals here, and so I'm going to share with you what I've practiced for so long. But I am going to, before I do that, very quickly, just as a disclaimer, draw your attention to this book, The Heart of Dhammakaya. That's just how they say Dharma in Asia, okay? Because obviously it originated in India, but then when it went to Asia, in Pali, basically. Dharma is a Sanskrit word. Pali, they say Dhamma, but it's the same. It means the same thing. The Heart of Dhammakaya Meditation by Pra-Ajahn Maha-Srimachai J. Mongolo. Forgive me if I mispronounced that, but he's the abbot of a very well-known Dhammakaya temple in Thailand. This is the best book I've ever seen or heard about on this practice, and it goes so deep into the world of Buddhism. And do you want it or not? This is the time where all the teachings are just out. And so if you want to practice it, this is the type of stuff where you would have to go and be a monk, and you can actually go to their retreats and so forth. But anyway, I I just wanted to show you this book. It's a very, very good book if you want the original method that I learned, that I have, again, adapted for my own personal needs. And again, it's pretty much verbatim what I learned, but those few adaptations are, first of all, in the first layer of this practice, because there's 6 spheres of the Dharmakaya that progressively take you through the entirety of the Eightfold Noble Path and helping you chop off the causes of suffering, okay, and thereby embody the higher qualities of loving kindness, compassion, the highest levels of joy, and equanimity. Those are the 4 immeasurables of Buddhism. And it's not exclusive to Buddhism either. Even in the Tao, where I train very deeply with Taoist inner alchemy, they say the most powerful form of qi is the loving kindness. So the 4 immeasurables, this practice will take you from just stage 1 of just me and my own personal body, my own personal suffering, transforming through all those levels, through the Eightfold Noble Path, all the way up to the 4 immeasurables, and they don't call that for no reason. And this is also just another real quick thing I want to mention, that they told me that they don't get into this until the deeper training. This is where Buddhism verges on the immortal practices, because the Taoist yoga is all about immortality. And Buddhism, I didn't hear that term very much in my training, immortality, but very specifically, they did use it with this practice. This is, I mean, again, they don't call this like the Rolls Royce of Buddhist meditation for nothing. And I'm sure there's other things out there more powerful. I'm not saying I have the whole thing, whatever, but I'm just letting you know this is really powerful, okay? So, the few adaptations I've made, first of all, stage 1, or the first sphere of the Dharmakaya, okay, is the Dharma sphere, which is this right here. I'll explain that in just a minute. But what we do is we take this crystal sphere through our elemental centers and we purify them to you need to kind of relax and let go and make room for fresh energy kind of a thing before you're calling for these higher, more purified, fields of energy. And in the original method, all of their elemental centers are in the head and then in the neck as well for the space element. And then they bring it down to the belly for the element of cognition. Now I did that, it's a good method, but as a yoga teacher, okay, and moreover, as a layperson, as a non-monk, okay, I prefer the chakra system. And I just say that with total humility, I prefer the chakra system because the system that they use doesn't go below the navel. It mostly kind of focused on the solar plexus. Well, yes, I have one foot in deep, hardcore practice of vegan yoga and meditation and inner alchemy every day for almost 20 years, as I said. And the other foot I have in the world of, I'm currently in acupuncture school, but in the world of, you know what that means. So for me to be grounded in the world and effective in the world and be able to stand there on the terms of how this world is, you need a good grounding. I needed that rooting of going down into the physical centers, okay? So when I shared with the monks that I was actually using the traditional chakra system, they didn't like it at all for different reasons. And my feeling is because I literally go to the root chakra, the sex chakra, and that's a little bit off limits for the monks, having taken a vow of celibacy, which I respect greatly. But again, for me personally, I was spaced out. I was like all up in the head. I needed that grounding to, again, be effective in the world that I live in. And let's face it, the majority of the people on this planet are lay people, to put it in those terms. So that means that, we're all, as much grounding as you can get is going to help you with these very advanced practices. I mean, if you're going to go off in the middle of, nature somewhere and just meditate exclusively, you might be able to hold that much space element, quite frankly. They kind of focus so much on space. Anyway, without getting too long-winded, I use the chakra system versus all the elemental centers that they just use in the head. Again, you can get that book to see the original, but I prefer the chakra system. They don't like going below the navel, getting into the sexual chakra, the root chakra. They're totally celibate, which I respect, but I'm not, and most people aren't. So if you don't have a way to purify that energy, let's face it, that's what most humans have a hang-up with what's going on in this region. So anyway, that is why I use the chakra system. Another subtle difference, okay, they use this mudra, which is index finger touching the thumb. I like that mudra, I use that mudra. But what I learned also from a Buddhist monk was if you bring the hands a little closer together and actually interlace your thumbs, It's a little more grounded. They're both what I call open circuit mudras. In Tao, we use more closed circuit because we're harnessing Qi, focusing more on Qi. But Buddhism does have a tendency to focus more on letting go. So just in any open circuit mudra, but you could use thumb touching your index finger for the original teaching. I prefer thumbs interlaced because, again, it's more grounded and I feel like I can hold the intense frequencies that I'm calling for in this practice, okay? So the chakra system, the mudra, last but not least, they are very specific. Again, my opinion is, and it is just an opinion, why they don't really like to go below the navel, again, because you're getting more into, to use the term, sexual energy. They put the center of the body hard and fast for everybody 2 inches above the navel. Okay, it's 2 inches above the navel, it's 2 inches above the navel. They work with the navel a little bit, for the most part it's above the navel. The way I teach this, because every body is different, is the region behind the navel where you feel the energy the strongest. So between the point on the spine opposite your navel is called the door of life, or the Ming Men in Chinese, okay? Door of life. Midway between the door of life and your navel, in the center of the body, not on the front of the body and the navel, but in the center, behind the navel and spine, where you feel the energy the strongest, in your body, that is your center. That's going to be the primary focus where we're going to bring this crystal sphere to purify our mind and the whole practice that comes out of that. Okay, so that's really it. Aside from that, it's pretty much the same thing. The one other thing that I will mention regarding, not how I changed it, because what I'm going to share with you is pretty much all in the original system, but just the emphasis, okay? A lot of times they'll call this meditation on 18 bodies, which is really just 9, but there's a crude and a refined form of each one. So, and you basically bring all your attention to the sphere and your center of gravity, and you empty yourself into it, and all of a sudden it'll expand and kind of become your aura, and you can purify your mind to a very high degree with this method. And what happens is you keep meditating, you'll expand, your aura will get bigger and bigger and bigger. Like you hear these great masters that have an aura that go around the building and stuff. That's actually not that far-fetched. And these are some of the methods they use to develop that. Okay? Now, as powerful as Siddhi, or psychic power as that is, again, in the world, like both feet on the ground and out in the world, whatever, I do get to that. You know, expanding your energy body, you might say, to progressively larger and larger, spheres, because as the name of this practice implies, Dharmakaya, universal body, the center of me, the center of the universe, ultimately, at its true center, is the same. So you could say you're expanding it out, reaching new heights, or you could just say you're realizing what's already there, okay? I get to that. That is more kind of for the last video I have in mind, when we get to the 4 measurables, okay? I focus more on the Eightfold Noble Path, because that is really where the rubber hits the road of just our everydays, attachments, and the sufferings, and all of that world. I mean, this whole dimension is about suffering and our pleasure and our suffering and our relationship with it. I mean, that's it. And so for me, I use this method to embody in a very, very powerful way, in real way, not intellectual, but embodied in the center of my jing, to use the term in Chinese medicine, the center of your body, the essence of your body, literally the Eightfold Noble Path, living and breathing the Eightfold Noble Path, okay? So that's a lot of context, and there's just a few minutes more of context, and I'm going to get into the practice. And by the way I'm structuring this series, I wasn't quite even sure how I was going to do it because it's such a big practice. I'm just doing my best. It's an organic, evolving practice. I invite you to, adjust it based on your needs. But the way that I'm going to present this series with at least 6 videos for the 6 spheres of the Dharmakaya practice, okay, or universal body, as I'm referring to it out of respect for the people who originally taught it to me, that don't like the adjustments I've made, which is understandable given the tradition, is I'm going to give you the context, and then I'm going to guide you through the practice. So once you've seen the context a few times, or you might just need it once, then you can just cut to whatever the time is, a few minutes into it, and just do the practice and do it until you got it, till you can master it and show people. Because this is a really powerful practice that will really help you with your own personal suffering and help other people let go of theirs. Okay? The more we can relax and let go, the more room there is for fresh energy and the pleasure and the bliss and all the things that you your birthright, quite frankly. But our relationship with suffering, it's pretty much the whole, Buddhism is about that, about suffering and overcoming it. Do you know what I mean? So the other thing that I need to convey in terms of context before I get into the practice, and especially with this video, because this is the I would say the 6 spheres of the Dharmakaya, which, just so you know what they are, the sphere of Dharma, and then you go through the Eightfold Noble Path. Sila, which means morality. Samadhi, which means concentration. Okay. Pana, which means wisdom. Okay. Vimutti, which means liberation, and Vimutti Nadasana, which means perception and knowledge gained through liberation. So, but, we'll get to all those in each separate video. But anyway, the first one, if you were just to know the information that is going to be on this video, it would be worth it to stay tuned and actually see what the practice is, and even go as far as to try it on your own and see what benefits you'll get from it, okay? So, Dharma, the sphere of Dharma, which this is right here, okay, has 2 general meanings, okay? The formal meaning of Dharma, okay, in terms of Buddhism, because Dharma, it's an Indian term, again, from Sanskrit. But in terms of Buddhism, okay, Dharma formally means the teaching of the Buddha, which is namely the Four Noble Truths. Suffering, the cause of suffering, and joy, the cause of joy. Now, you might say an Orthodox Buddhist would say suffering, the cause of suffering, non-suffering, the cause of non-suffering. But for me, non-suffering is joy. So I just cut to the chase. Suffering, attachment, joy, letting go. That's it right there. If you just got that, the Four Noble Truths, suffering, attachment, joy, letting go, you're in really good shape. Okay, even in Latin, the term for desire, it's like this sense of suffering. Like, think about it. If you are putting all your attention on something outside of yourself, something that you perceive anyway to be separate from, that is going to make you suffer because you're separate, that sense of separation. So a lot of people will hear this and be, oh, well, I don't want to do that. I still want things. Well, if you're in this realm, this dimension of the human experience, you have to have desire to eat, to put clothes on your body and so forth. But the idea is to let go of your attachment to the result. So that's what this practice helps you see, that fine line between what is the appropriate relationship. Like all the Eightfold Noble Path, it's all about that. Right is in front of everything, right? Right understanding, right thought, right livelihood. It's all these right. Well, what is that right relationship? Okay, so this practice will help you see what that is, and not because I or anybody said so. This is a method for you to take this sphere and examine, who you are, what you're about, in any phenomenon, and you look for what Dharma means, the pattern of phenomena. And that brings me to the informal definition of Dharma, which is what I want to underline for this video. The informal is pattern of phenomena, law of nature, truth of reality. Basically, it's impermanence. All known phenomena in the known universe arise, hang out for a while, and fade away. And suffering happens when we get attached to the objects of our experience. I mean, I love, and forgive me, this is contextual, whatever, but I think it'll help you wrap your brain around this. In the whole Star Wars, all 6 films of Star Wars, yes, I'm making a Star Wars analogy, my favorite line, because I never could understand how Anakin's pure, being could turn into Darth Vader when he was asking the Emperor, about his wife or girlfriend, his partner, who was going to bear his children. She was dying, and his mother too, who he was attached to, how he could make them live forever. And what the Emperor said is, you're not going to learn that from a Jedi, because it's not natural. Okay? So that idea, and it's really kind of paradoxical, because in Taoist yoga, and even in this, we get into immortality. So stick around and you'll see what that term actually means. It's very paradoxical. Well, how can I live forever? Well, the part of you that's immortal, you merge your consciousness with that, and it's yours for the taking. But, we'll get to all that. Bottom line, the informal definition of Dharma, impermanence, This is a practice to really help you embody that awareness in a very effective way, okay? Now, the Dharma sphere, which you can see here, this is just a crystal sphere, pearl is the perfect shape, because if you expand or contract your vision, which you can do with this practice too, by the way, to any scale, the smallest of the small, the largest of the large, everything is spiraling. The smallest subatomic clusters of atoms, the largest clusters of galaxies, everything is spiraling. And the radiant nucleus of that spiral is a pearl. I mean, think about it. This Earth that we're on, the moon spiraling around it, all the planets in the solar system, the sun, you know, the North Star, that all of the planets and stars in our visible galaxy are spiraling around, and all the way to, again, the whole known universe. It's all pearls, okay? So that's one level. The other thing is it's a three-dimensional zero. So in an impermanent universe, we're bringing our awareness back to that understanding, that you know, willingness to let go. And out of that willingness to let go, there's fresh energy. The more we let go, the more room there is to be filled up again. So people get real scared when they start listening to, you know, Dharma talks and stuff. They don't want to let go. They don't want to let go of all their beauty in their life and their kids and their jobs and all that stuff. And that's all understandable. But the more you let go, the more you can receive. You know. So anyway, not because I said so. This is a practice that's going to give you an opportunity, give you a method to examine reality and see for yourself. Is it impermanent or not? Because most of our relationship with suffering and pleasure is the same. We're in a state of resistance. For us to have a way to look through the crystal ball, okay, whatever's going on with you, is it impermanent, changeable? That's generally the three marks they call Trilakshana. You know, in Buddhism, impermanence, changeability, and selflessness, which means no separate self separate from like the whole self, okay? You can look at it, you can examine, you can see for yourself. No, this also does arise, hang out for a while, and pass away. Because usually in our suffering, we think, you know, this is going to last forever. We forget that it's just a phase. So this gives us, again, an ability to keep that awareness and thereby overcome that suffering. Okay. The other thing I want to mention, because once I get into the practice, I'm not going to be anywhere near as verbose. I'm just going to go into the practice, all right, is one of the most famous things in Buddhism, and quite frankly, it predates it. It's called the 5 skandhas, or the 5 sheaths. That's also what this sphere represents. The 5 sheaths are, you have 1 for your body and 4 for your mind. And this is where I'm actually segueing into what this practice is. And again, to underline, if you just knew one of all 6 spheres of the Dharmakaya, it's this one. If you can work with, on any level, the sphere of Dharma, your life is going to be a lot, better. That sounds like a total judgment. That's just been my own personal experience. But it makes sense. If you know the nature of the universe you live in, if you know the law and the pattern of the fabric of reality, you're going to be able to interact with that much more skillfully. And they don't call this the Eightfold Noble Path for no reason. In the past, it was just nobles. This is king of the kings of the kings. People forget, Buddha was a king. Long line. This is like the wisdom coming through, you know, and we can take advantage of it if we want to. So anyway, the 5 skandhas, okay, namely are body, which kaya means body, and then the next 4 are for your mind. Vedana, Shona, Samsara, Vijnana. Forgive me if I butchered the Sanskrit. But basically, feeling, memory, thought, and awareness. Those are the layers of your mind. The outer layer of the mind are the senses. You're hearing me right now. You're seeing me. You're feeling me. Feeling on any level. Feeling like they said in, you know, to use the Star Wars terminology again, the Jedi, reach out with your feelings, right? When you reach out with your feelings, you can hear deeper and see things deeper. It's the whole realm of your senses, is the outer layer of the mind, okay? You're feeling your memory. That's more subtle than your raw senses. That's going deeper, okay? Feeling, memory, thought. That is the causal realm of basically your intention. And people don't realize, people think light is the fastest thing in this universe. It's slow compared to thought. Really slow. Thought can go from here to the end of the universe and back at the speed of thought. Okay, so thought is you know, very powerful. Okay, so feeling, memory, thought, and pure awareness itself. Pure awareness itself. So as is the core. So body, okay, most dense, okay, and then feeling, memory, thought, and awareness. So when we visualize this crystal sphere in the center of our body, those are the layers that we're bringing to it. Like awareness at the center. When you bring awareness, it's already at the center of your body. That's another thing. So they usually just focus on the four. Feeling, memory, thought, awareness. If you just got that little, you know, internal mantra from this whole video, start tuning in to your feeling, memory, thought, and awareness. That'll help you concentrate the layers of your mind and put your attention where you want it. Chi flows where the mind goes. And most of us take responsibility for our thoughts. Where is our thoughts coming from? Most of our thoughts are coming from advertising. And that's going to put your chi in the pockets of the people that brought you the advertising. Money is just a measurement of energy, and so forth. Not to sound judgmental, but it's going to, again, in terms of healing, manifestation, anything you want in life, the more you can put your attention where you want it, that is where your chi is going to go. Even all the worshiping, like the rock stars and movie stars, or whatever. I love my, you know, certain performers too, but I'm real clear that the rock star of the rock stars is my own inner Buddha, my own inner sage, you know, because that's who's going to get the chi. We give it to everybody else, okay? So when you bring all of your feelings, what are you feeling on any level? Feel it from your center. We talk about getting centered, right? Your memory, remember it from your center. Your thoughts, think about it from your center. Awareness itself, that's essentially, that's the essence of the, you know, first sphere of the six in the Dharmakaya practice, is the sphere of Dharma. You examine all of these phenomena. Just one quick buzzword of Dharma means phenomena, but really it's the pattern of phenomena. So we do a whole body scan. We look at our bones, at our blood vessels, at our lymph, at our brain, at our organs, and they're impermanent. They arise, they hang out for a while, they pass away. You look at all your feelings. They arise, they hang out for a while, they pass away. You look at your memory, look at your thought, look at awareness itself. It arises, it hangs out for a while, it passes away. So we bring each layer of these things, whatever we're going through, and you examine them, and you're able to systematically dissolve any tension associated with it. This is the rarest birth. There's more ability in the human realm. The Buddha himself said this. Of the 6 realms, of the great mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, 1 syllable per realm, okay, of which the human realm is one. He said the most auspicious was the human, of them all, because we have more ability to work on our karma, which just means action, than all the other realms. And I wouldn't even get into what they all are. You can go study on your own, because if you haven't heard of what they are, you're going to have cognitive dissonance. You never heard of it, and you're going to probably turn this video off, because it get gods and all this stuff, that all those realms, and you could interpret them, whatever your whole thing, that's, go study yourself, like I said. But just to cut to the chase, the human birth is a the most auspicious birth, because we have more ability to work on our karma in one day than some of these other realms do. I mean, like an animal, for example. I mean, we know there's animals, that's not too woo-woo. They're not self-aware enough to work on their karma. And there's no judgment there either, but that's just the reality. So it's a very auspicious birth that, quite frankly, most people waste. As a wellness worker, I've seen some, like, I think the top 5 or 6 things people say on their deathbed. One of the top in that category is, I didn't evolve myself. I wasted my time, you know? It's like proverbial midlife crisis. You did all the things that society placed importance on. You made money, you made a family, and all this stuff. But you realize the deeper reality, you never put any attention on that. And chi flows where the mind goes, so you got no energy there. Do you know what I mean? You don't give our power away to all these other people, you know, priests and this and that. And there's no judgment there whatsoever. Every tradition, I believe, at its core, is got, you know, truth there. But if you want to embody yourself, a deeper awareness of this universe that we live in, and again, its true nature, okay, this practice is going to be very helpful, okay? Plenty of context. All I'm going to do now is just tell you what the actual method is, and then I'm going to just do a very nice, relaxed, low-key, no commentary whatsoever, guided meditation, okay? So, the method is, we are going to take and visualize in our mind. There's two main things we need for this method: an object of visualization, which is the crystal sphere, and a repetitive word, which I'm going to use the original one that was taught to me in this practice, Sama Araham, which can be interpreted in a multitude of ways, like most powerful words. In essence, means purify your mind to be free from suffering. Okay? Now, what you can also use that I like a lot, because if you're not familiar with Sanskrit, or for whatever reason that you just don't want to go there, the other one that I like and I use just as much as the original is, and this will make more sense once we actually get to the practice, but just so I've introduced it, stop in stop, still in still, clear in clear. Because we want the mind to become stopped, still, and clear. Okay? Because then we have our chi in one place, and from there we can go create whatever we want. Alright? So, those are the two that you can choose from. Sama Araham, or stop and stop, still and still, clear and clear. That's the inner mantra that we're using to bring our attention back to bring your attention. Because the more you bring your attention back to the center of the body, that's your energy versus outside. What am I doing later? What did I do earlier? What am, all these people I need to talk to, that'll all happen. But don't waste your chi, okay? So this repetitive word will help you bring your attention back to the center. So you have an object of visualization and you have the repetitive word. Those are the two main methods that we're going to be utilizing in this practice. And what we do is, we're going to take this sphere in our mind, I'm going to physically do it now just so you can see, and we purify our elemental centers, all right? I'm using the chakra system. You can go and check out the book I already referenced if you want to see the original one they use in the head, but I go through my chakra system, root to crown. I bring the pearl to my root chakra at the perineum, cervical floor for women, and I keep my mind and my awareness and my eyes connected to the radiant nucleus of the pearl, and I recite 3 times Sama Araham, Sama Araham, Sama Araham, to purify the earth element and all the solid, all the solid parts of the body. And you go up, water chakra, midway between the sacrum and the sex organ. Purify the water and all the fluid parts of the body, Sama Araham 3 times. The navel center, fire, all the body's regulator of the body's temperature, and so forth. We'll go through that, all right? Excuse me. What I do want to mention is real quick on the chakra system, 2 things. First of all the different systems, or many of them, put them in different places, okay? I've studied yoga and practiced and taught it at a high level for almost 20 years, and the biggest masters it's all about who do you listen to. In law of attraction and in general, with any knowledge dissemination, be very careful who do you listen to, because you're going to become who you listen to. So the answer is you listen to people that have what you want. And the biggest masters that have what I want, that I trust, okay? The chakras, because some people put them way, way, way in the back, like on the outside of the spine. Some people put them in the center of the spine. It's kind of, nebulous exactly where they are. And because you're dealing with something subtle, that's understandable. But here's where I'm going to instruct you to put them, which I've, for years meditated on and learned from very high-level, reputable masters in India and other places, is on the inside of the spine. Essentially, they're midway between the front and the back of the body. They're in the center of the body on the inside of the spine. So, for example, the navel chakra, which is where we're going to, once we bring the sphere through all the centers, we bring it to the navel because it's the center of the body. It's midway between the navel and the point on the spine opposite the navel, called the door of life in Chinese medicine. Midway, so it's on the front side of the spine, in the center of the body. Same thing with the heart, between the sternum and the back of the heart, in the center of the body, on the front side of the spine, and so forth, okay? So that's one thing, so I don't have to be so verbose when we actually do it. When I say middle of the body, you know what I mean. The other thing is, regarding chakras, is different masters say that there's a different number of them. The general system, there's 7, just like the 7 colors of the rainbow. Roy G. Biv, right at the bottom, violet on the top, and so forth. Most masters, I shouldn't say that, excuse me. Many masters, because the 7th chakra on the crown is so powerful, it's like kind of beyond. They quite frankly say it's not really a chakra. Okay, so in other words, some masters use 6 chakras, some use 7, some use 5. In the Tao, even though we have all 7, a lot of times we just use the 3 main cauldrons, Jing, Qi, Shen, and so forth. For this method, we're using 6. Okay, root, I'll go through them, but 6, we get up to the throat, that's 5, just like the standard 7, and then we have 1 in the center of the brain, and we're not using 1 on the head. On the crown of the head, we're just using 6 because you have the 5 main elements in Buddhism and all of Hinduism, and basically everything except the Taoists. They use a little different elemental system. But in Buddhism, and basically everything except Taoist, we use the standard earth, water, fire, wind, space. That's the 5 chakras, and once you get to the 6th one, it's the element of cognition. And and that's one other little subtlety that brings me that I wanted to mention, and I think this is the last contextual piece, and we're going to get to the practice. In the original system I learned, the element of cognition was down here in the belly. Now, when I go through the practice, you're going to notice that I associate cognition with the brain chakra, because once you get to space, the element that's associated with the third eye in the brain is light. Well, it's the light of cognition. Now, the reason I do that is because this is the command point for our senses. The third eye, of course, we know that all of our senses and cognition they're coming through, our 5 openings, of our senses up here in the head. And furthermore, we're going to bring our awareness, it's all going to concentrate back down here. Anyway, we're going to converge all of our chakras, all of our feelings, our thoughts, our memory, our awareness, everything, our cognition is going to converge here anyway. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that, again, out of respect for the original lineage, that I'm going to talk about the cognition in the brain, but then it all melts in to the core. Okay? So that's it. We take the sphere, that's just the beginning, which we just usually do the first time. We bring the sphere through all chakras. We purify each of their associated element by seeing a radiant crystal sphere on each of those centers with the inner mantra Sama Araham. And then we bring it back to the center of our body, and we rest it there, and we keep it there. And in general, like the way they taught it to me originally, they only go through the chakras the first time they practice, but I found that to be a really helpful tool, actually taking the sphere to the specific chakras if you need to heal. So, because that brings the energy to the 7 chakras, and there's 7 endocrine glands that they're associated with, where the chakra energy hits your biochemistry of your actual glands. You have 1 chakra per 1 gland, the thymus in the heart chakra, for example, thyroid in the throat, and so forth. And you can also take the sphere and bring it to any part of your body. Like, let's say, like for example, once I hurt my thumb, okay, my right thumb, I would put the sphere right on my thumb, and I just concentrate all my feelings, my memory, my thought awareness, feeling, memory, thought awareness, feeling, memory, thought awareness, right on my thumb, because chi flows where the mind goes. So that's another application of this. All right. So all this verbose stuff. I mean, it's just if I don't tell it to you, it's like you won't know the context. And again, once you have heard all this, you can just go right to the practice when we start in a few minutes, in a moment anyway, and then you can practice it on your own. So let's take a deep breath. I think those are all the bullet points I wanted to share with you. As far as context, as far as the subtle changes I made, as far as how it's going to help you, healing, law of attraction, and a philosophical super science to embody on a very high level, in a fully embodied way, the Eightfold Noble Path. Because essentially all that the 6 spheres of the Dharmakaya are is the Eightfold Noble Path. First, you focus on Dharma, because if you don't have a right understanding of what that is, none of it matters. And if you just got that, it's worth the whole thing. So this first video, that's why I'm being extra careful to say all the context, because this is really the main part of this practice that I focus on. And again, when I originally learned this, I mean, they had me expanding my energy body out and out, ultimately into Buddhas that 40 meters tall and even beyond that, which is an awesome practice. We're going to get to that. But the Eightfold Noble Path got a little bit lost for me. And so when I went back to the original writings on what these teachings were about, it was a little more clear that that's where you need to focus. Because if you can't cut off, all the layers of suffering that the Eightfold Noble Path are intended to help you let go of, you can expand your body as far as you want, but in the core you still have, hang-ups and suffering. I mean, we throw that word around, and it's a big word, but I mean, hey, do you want to suffer or do you want to have non-suffering? You know what I mean? So that's what I'm going to focus on here, okay? So I think that's all I wanted to share. Oh, last thing as far as the actual technique we're going to be using, okay? You bring the pearl through the chakras, you purify your elements. We talked about that. Once you do that, you bring the pearl back to your center, and everything converges there. basically the 5 aggregates. It's already in the center of your body, so you've got the physical aggregate and then the 4 mental aggregates: feeling, memory, thought, awareness. And basically, that's it. You just feeling, memory, thought, awareness, feeling, memory, thought, awareness. You keep emptying your feeling, memory, thought, awareness into this pearl. And then what happens, and this is the real magic of this practice, the pearl by itself will expand, kind of like on the cover of this book, which, by the way, is not directly on the floor in Buddhist fashion. It's on a special mat. You can see how this crystal Buddha, kind of like this one here, is sitting inside of a pearl. You notice that? Well, if you meditate on this pearl, it'll expand to surround you, and it's one of the most effective ways for purifying your aura, your field of energy that surrounds your physical body, your energy field. So that's it. You just keep feeling, memory, thought, awareness, feeling, memory, thought, awareness, and then the pearl expands, and now you're sitting inside of the pearl. It's literally, you put your whole body in a pearl. I mean, it sounds very out there, but it's actually opposite. It's in there. And it's, once you feel that a few times, oh my goodness, you will just like, it's a very famous thing, even in yoga, predating Buddhism. They have a similar method where you see your inner sage in there and you keep dropping, emptying yourself to it. This is the original cell, my friends, behind the navel, okay? You have a single cell that was put there by the umbilical cord, and the whole body spiraled out from there. Even in the Tao, in Chinese medicine that came from it, they call the point of the spine opposite the navel the door of life. There's a reason they call it that. So by returning all the layers of yourself, that's in Buddhism, the 5 aggregates alone is huge. Okay, huge. It's like a whole huge thing, and not in other yoga too, not just Buddhism. That's the totality of what you are. You've got a body, feelings, memory, thought, and awareness. I mean, what else isn't in there? Everything you've experienced physically, and all the subtle layers of the consciousness that's aware of it. That is the 5 aggregates. So you keep emptying. Basically, what you're doing is you're returning to that original energy, and this is where it links with the immortal implications of this, which I'll get to as we go through all these. That's the portal. That's the portal, the center of me. I mean, like, think about the term God, which I'm not even going to get into defining that right now, but just as a general, if the, whatever you call that creative, being is truly everywhere, it must also be within me, right? So that's kind of the idea, is you keep emptying, emptying, returning, and from that center, you can see the portal to the whole universe, basically. And you can become that universal body, okay? This is all about embodiment and giving you the tools. No mediator of a priest or whatever else, and there's no judgment on those systems that use, priests and all that stuff. I have respect for every walk of life and religion, and I believe at their heart, they're all intended on connecting people to the truth. I just want something that works for me, that I can do on my own. Again, I don't want to waste this most precious human birth. And this is the differentiation. Last contextual thing, I promise. And we're going to get to the method, okay? Why, where Buddhism, we know it came from Hinduism, but it did its own thing, because in the Hinduism they have caste. They have caste system, and amongst many, this is a whole huge debate that I don't, quite frankly, really want to touch. But I will just say, for the sake of maybe the Westerners who don't really know, or anybody, quite frankly. What differentiates Buddhism and Hinduism, amongst many things, is the ability to work on your karma. If you're born in a certain caste in Hinduism, you, as far as I understand it, and I'm not Hindu, so forgive me if I'm wrong, can't get out of your caste, no matter what you do with your, karma, which means action. And Buddhism said no. Buddhism said, look, it's all about free will. And whatever you align your free will and thereby your action with, chi flows when the mind goes. You keep doing good, virtuous, things, you're going to be a virtuous, noble person. And you can overcome your own suffering. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that's a more of an empowered view. Personally, again, I have no judgment whatsoever at all about any religion. And I'm not making, value assessments. I'm just letting you know the difference. So this is a very powerful method for purifying your own mind and your own karma, again, which means action. Perfect your action, and if you so choose, evolve as a result. Okay? So that's it. We're going to bring Pearl to our 6 elemental centers, return it to our center of gravity, behind the navel, where you feel the energy the strongest, using our internal mantra of Samadaham, and or stop and stop, still and still, clear and clear, and you basically just keep emptying yourself to the pearl. You keep emptying yourself to the pearl. You keep emptying yourself to the pearl, and the nucleus, the radiant nucleus of the pearl, will expand by itself to surround your body. That is the essence of what I'm going to show you today. Okay? Thank you for sticking with me there. That's about all I have to say for now. Let's just go right into the practice and see how you feel. I know I keep saying this, but there is one last thing. You probably notice I'm sitting in a chair. Most Buddhist meditation, they sit on the floor. I've found that you can sit on the floor, sit in a chair. You can even lay down, any position you're in, quite frankly. You can do this practice. I do this in my yoga poses. I do it when I'm laying down before bed. As long-winded as the context has been so far, it's actually real simple. Just bring your mind to the center of your body. Okay? Bring your mind to the center of your body. It's just a systematic way to do it. But one thing I will say about sitting in a chair, and why I find it to be very helpful, especially if you can't stay grounded, is that, and this is a little Taoist influence, but you know, I found it to work, so call it what you want. Does it work? Then I'll use it. The most grounded point on your body, according to Chinese medicine and the Tao that it came from, is the point of your feet, kidney point 1, just below the ball of the foot, in the center of the foot, about a third of the way down. So meditating with your feet on the ground will really help you stay grounded, because this practice is really powerful. So feel free to sit in a chair, on the floor, wherever you're comfortable with, but I just want to tell you why I'm sitting in a chair, not on the floor, as I was when I first learned this. And I still do sit on the floor to meditate, but just a little more context for you to take into your practice. So without further ado, my friends, universal body meditation, the Dharma sphere. Come to meditation, ideally after yoga and pranayama, and sit in any comfortable seated position. Place your hands into an open circuit mudra, with the palms facing up and the thumbs interlaced. Touch your tongue gently to the roof of the mouth and keep it there for the duration of practice, and ideally for the duration of your life. And establish a long, effortless belly breath, letting your belly expand like a balloon in all directions as you inhale, and flatten as you exhale. And feel in the pit of your stomach, in the center of your effortlessly breathing belly, behind your navel where you feel the energy the strongest, a crystal sphere of light. A crystal sphere of light as the object of visualization and the mental recitation of the spoken word, Sama Araham, Sama Araham, Sama Araham. You can also use stop and stop, still and still, clear and clear. Focusing on this object of visualization in the center of the body with the repetitive word allows the mind aggregates of feeling, memory, thought, and awareness to fall into oneness at the center of the body. So our mind and our energy is concentrated and unified with our body, the center of our body. So once you see the crystal sphere of light in your center of gravity, and it may take a while, but even just if it's faint in your awareness, visualization, or feeling it, bring that crystal sphere of light very slowly with your eyes, mind, and the totality of awareness rooted in the radiant nucleus of the sphere, slowly shift the sphere to your root chakra at the perineum for men and the cervical floor for women. And with your eyes, mind, and awareness connected to the radiant nucleus of the sphere, mentally recite the words Sama Araham, Sama Araham, Sama Araham to purify the sphere and the earth element, regulating the body's solid parts. Slowly shift the sphere straight upwards to the sex chakra, midway between your sacrum and sex organ on the inside of the spine. With your eyes, mind, and awareness connected to the radiant nucleus at the center of the sphere, mentally recite the words Sama Araham, Sama Araham, Sama Araham to purify the sphere and the water element that regulates all the body's fluid parts. Mentally shift the sphere slowly upwards to the navel chakra, midway between your navel and your spine where you feel the energy the strongest. With your eyes, mind, and awareness effortlessly dropped to the radiant nucleus of the pearl. Mentally recite the words Sama Araham, Sama Araham, Sama Araham to purify the sphere and the fire element, regulating the body's temperature. Slowly shift the sphere from the navel chakra to the heart chakra, midway between your sternum and the back of the heart, on the inside of the spine, behind the sternum. With your eyes, mind, and awareness effortlessly connected to the radiant nucleus of the pearl, mentally recite the words Sama Araham, Sama Araham, Sama Araham to purify the sphere and the wind element, regulating the body's gaseous parts. Slowly shift the sphere straight up to the throat chakra. With your eyes, mind, and awareness effortlessly connected to the radiant nucleus of the pearl, mentally recite the words Sama Araham, Sama Araham, Sama Araham to purify the sphere and the space element, regulating the various gaps within the body. Slowly and mindfully shift the sphere from the throat chakra up to the brain chakra, midway between your third eye and the back of the head. Feel your left and your right eye and your awareness equal and balanced in the radiant nucleus in the center of your brain, and mentally recite the words Sama Araham, Sama Araham, Sama Araham to purify the sphere and the element of light, the light of cognition. And slowly and mindfully relax the sphere down until it reaches the center of your body once again, midway between your navel and the point on your spine opposite the navel, in the center of the body where you feel the energy the strongest in this present moment. Connect your eyes, your mind, and the totality of your awareness to the radiant nucleus of the sphere in your center of gravity, and mentally recite the words Samma Araham continuously to purify the sphere. And as you're doing this, visualizing and feeling this crystal clear, radiant sphere in your center of gravity, and you're mentally reciting the words Samma Araham, Samma Araham, Samma Araham. Begin to empty the layers of your mind. All your feelings on every level, your memory, your thought, your awareness. Let each one drop effortlessly to the radiant nucleus of the pearl, which is awareness itself. Simply bringing awareness in the center of your body to each feeling, each memory, each thought, as you mentally recite the words Samma Araham to purify the layers of your mind. The idea isn't to negate our feelings, our memory, our thought. The idea is that, like putting food in the stomach, turning to energy, the more of our feelings, memory, thought, awareness that we bring to the center, that becomes usable energy. So whatever you're feeling right now, feel it from the pearl in your center. Whatever your memory is communicating to you right now, whatever thoughts you're having, bring it all to the radiant nucleus, the clear light of awareness itself, in the center of your effortlessly breathing belly. Feel your feelings from the radiant center of the sphere. Awareness of feelings, awareness of memory, awareness of thought, awareness itself. Keep emptying, moment by moment, breath by breath, heartbeat by heartbeat. Empty to the center, the radiant nucleus of the crystal sphere of light. And it may take a while if you're just coming to this practice, but once you feel a rooting there, a grounding, a sense of really embodying this awareness of this pearl, and you can see it in your center of gravity, there's no need to continue the mental recitation of Samma Araham. Just simply empty yourself perpetually to the radiant nucleus of that pearl once you can see it and feel it in your center of being. Feelings, memory, thought, awareness. Feelings, memory, thought, awareness. The radiant nucleus of the sphere. Dharma awareness of the true nature of things. We are simply examining the layers of our mind, examining our feelings and how they arise, hang out for a while and pass away, examining our memory, how it arises, hangs out for a while and passes away. Examining our thoughts, how they arise, hang out for a while, pass away, all from the clear light of awareness. awareness, Dharma awareness, the radiant center of the crystal sphere. And in this process of perpetually emptying ourselves to the radiant center of the center, what will happen by itself as you practice this is that radiant center will expand to surround the body. It's almost as if, as you're directing your eyes, your mind, and the totality of your awareness to the radiant nucleus in the center of your effortlessly breathing belly, as you empty yourself, each feeling, memory, thought, and awareness, it's almost as if the entire body drops into that center and expands by itself. It may not happen right away, and I wouldn't place any pressure on yourself to make it happen either. Simply bring the layers of your mind to the radiant nucleus of the pearl. The radiant nucleus of pure, clear awareness itself at the center of the center, into which your feelings, memory, thoughts fade into. Whatever you're feeling right now, whatever your memory is communicating to you right now, whatever you're thinking right now, let it all fade into awareness itself at the center of the center, and let that awareness expand by itself to surround the totality of your body in a 1 meter aura, such that now you are sitting inside of the pearl, the crystal clear sphere of light. And once this happens, the process is the same. Simply continue perpetually to return your mind to the nucleus of the pearl. Feelings, memory, thought, awareness, moment to moment empty to the radiant nucleus of the pearl. And this purifies the sphere in our center of gravity and the aura that it expands out to become. Most of the time our attention is outside of ourselves, where it gets lost, and with it our energy. Simply return the totality of your awareness to the radiant nucleus of the pearl, the nucleus of the crystal sphere in the center of your effortlessly breathing belly, and into that radiant nucleus for just a few moments. Completely relax and let go. All your feelings, relax and let go. All your memory, relax and let go. All your thoughts, relax and let go into the radiant nucleus of pure awareness itself at the center of the center of the crystal sphere of light. You can hang out in this receptive stage for a long time. But when you are ready to conclude the meditation, simply return awareness once again to the center of the sphere. And cover your belly with your hands, and into that radiant nucleus, collect your energy. Whatever you feel on any level that you've accumulated from this practice, allow that feeling to collect and concentrate in the radiant nucleus of the pearl. And press save, so that this awareness will be with you always. This centered groundedness, sense of openness, this sense of clear light, of pure awareness. It permeates every cell of your being and even surrounds you. And with our attention concentrated in our personal center of power, this is a very, very auspicious time to wish. So rub your hands together. Connect your attention once again to the radiant nucleus of the pearl, your eyes, your mind, and the totality of your awareness dropped to that radiant nucleus. And by the power of our personal center and by the power of the universal center, we wish for the highest embodiment of wellness and good fortune and the alleviation of suffering for ourselves and ultimately all sentient beings. Because it is by wishing on behalf of all sentient beings for the alleviation of suffering that the power of our wish is amplified 10,000 and more times. The highest embodiment of wellness and good fortune and the alleviation of suffering for myself, all affected by my actions, ultimately out to all sentient beings. I think, I feel, I am.